Welcome back from that short break. In case you're just joining us, this is the News International Edition, and we're coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. Now, China sends 3 astronauts to its Tiangong space station, putting a Chinese civilian into orbit for the first time after it pursues plans to send a crewed mission to the moon by the end of the decade. The launch was a complete success, and the astronauts are in good condition, said Zhu Lipeng, director of the Joaquin Satellite Launch Center. Children played as they waited for the launch, some waving Chinese flags as they sat on their parents' shoulders. We have more.
China sent 3 astronauts to its Tiangong space station on Tuesday, putting a civilian into orbit for the first time as it pursues plans to send a crewed mission to the moon by 2030. The world's second-largest economy has invested billions of dollars in its military-run space program in a push to catch up with the United States and Russia. Distinguished superiors, experts and comrades, according to the rocket's flight data and calculation by the Beijing Aerospace Flight Control Center based on monitoring data, the Long March 2 FY-16 carrier rocket has accurately sent the Shenzhou 16 manned spacecraft to the predetermined orbit. The spacecraft's solar panels are extended and functioning normally. I announced this Shenzhou 16 manned spacecraft launch mission a complete success. The Shenzhou 16 crew took off atop a Long March 2F rocket from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwest China at 9:31 a.m., reporters said. They docked at the space station's Tianhe-Kou module on Tuesday afternoon, more than 6 hours after taking off, state broadcaster CCTV said. Spectators let out a loud wow, shouting good luck and waving as the rocket took off in a cloud of oak smoke. China was the 3rd country to put humans into orbit, and Tiangong is the crown jewel of its space program, which has also landed robotic rovers on Mars and the Moon. The crew will meet their 3 colleagues from the Shenzhou 15 flight who have been at the station for 6 months and who will return to Earth in the coming days. The station carries several pieces of cutting-edge scientific equipment, state news agency Xinhua reported, including the world's first space-based cold atomic clock system. Tiangong is expected to remain in low Earth orbit at an altitude between 400 and 450 kilometers, an equivalent to 250 and 280 miles for at least 10 years. China has been effectively excluded from the International Space Station since 2011, when the United States banned NASA from engaging with the country, pushing Beijing to develop its own orbital outpost. China plans to send 2 crewed space missions to Tiangong every year, according to the CMSA.
Now from Germany, a brewery has very high hopes for its powdered beer. With its golden hue, bittersweet notes and frothy head, Stefan Street's latest brew looks and tastes just like any other beer. But the revolutionary tipo, developed by Frisch's Brewery in the German town of Neuzel, was made with just 2 ingredients, water and powder. This powdered format is above all cheaper and more sustainable, according to Fritz.
This revolutionary tipo, made from just 2 ingredients, powder and water, is likely to change the way people drink beer, according to the owner of the Neuzelli brewery, Stefan Frischi. We want to develop the beer powder simply because we want to save the transport, so to speak. We want to be the most sustainable brewery in the world, and so we thought if we only transport the taste, that would be perfect. And that was the background why we developed this. Everyone can have their own home brewery with this new invention, Frischi told our reporter at the premises near the border with Poland. But the brewer is also developing an alcoholic version and eventually planning to add bubbles to make it even more beer-like. For now, the recipe finalized earlier this year is non-alcoholic and also contains no carbon dioxide, meaning it has no bubbles. The beer is currently only developed without alcohol, but it's still very interesting because there are several 100 million people in the world who practically only drink alcohol-free products. And that's why I have no problem staying in the alcohol-free field. We will also develop an alcohol product, but think about Saudi Arabia, Oman, other regions. working with alcohol is not a must. The main target market will be the African and Asian countries, since a powder is far easier and cheaper to transport over long distances than bottles of beer. But the product may not go down too smoothly at home in Germany, which has a 500-year-old purity law around beer known as Reinebot. It is unclear whether the product could even be marketed as beer under the strict rules which limit the ingredients to malt, hops, yeast and water. Rishi declines to reveal his recipe, but argues that his invention is necessary in a world that needs sustainable solutions. The brewer is still working with investors to roll out the powder commercially, but is hoping to start selling it within around 4 months. The powdered format, developed with European laboratories over the past 2 years, makes the beverage 90% cheaper to export than traditional beer, he said. According to the Impact Carbon Footprint Calculator, packaging and transport account for 70% of the environmental impact of a litre, around 2 pints of beer. The powdered format also saves time, as laboratory production is faster than traditional brewing, which takes 2 months on average.
And finally, ethnic Serb demonstrators and members of the NATO-led peacekeeping forces careful in front of the Zevkan town hall. Clashes between members of the NATO-led force, KFOR, and Serbs in the northern Kosovo, where Serbian demonstrators are demanding the removal of Albanian mayors, left around 30 peacekeepers and 52 Serbs injured. The situation in the northern Kosovo remained tense on Tuesday as ethnic Serbs continued to gather in front of a town hall in Zivkan after violent clashes with NATO-led peacekeepers left 30 soldiers injured. The NATO-led Kosovo force soldiers were wearing full riot gear after have put a metal barrier around the municipal building in Zivkan and are stopping several hundred Serbs from entering, a journalist reported at the scene. 3 armed vehicles of the ethnic Albanian Kosovo police, whose presence always stirs controversy in Serb-majority northern areas, remain parked in front of the town hall. Serbs, who account for about 6% of Kosovo's population, boycotted last month's elections in northern towns where they are in a majority, allowing ethnic Albanians to take control of local councils despite a municipal turnout of around 3.5% of voters. Many Serbs are demanding the withdrawal of Kosovo police forces, as well as the ethnic Albanian mayors do not consider their true representatives. Tensions flared after Serbs tried to force their way into the Zevkan town hall on Monday, but were repelled as Kosovo police fired tear gas to disperse the crowd. KFOR at first tried to separate protesters from the police, but later started to disperse the crowd using shields and batons. Protesters responded by hurling rocks, bottles, and Molotov cocktails at the soldiers. A total of 30 peacekeepers were wounded in the clashes, including fractures and burns from improvised explosives, incendiary devices. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić said 52 demonstrators were hurt, 3 of them seriously. 5 Serbs were arrested for taking part in the clashes, according to Kosovo police. KFOR said the soldiers responded to the unprovoked attacks of a violent and dangerous crowd while carrying out its mandate in an impartial manner. Kosovo declared independence from Serbia in 2008, and Belgrade and its key allies Beijing and Moscow have refused to recognize it, effectively preventing Kosovo from having a seat at the United Nations. And that's all the international news we had for you this afternoon. From me and the team behind the scenes, thank you for watching, and do have yourselves a fantastic afternoon.